The search and rescue mission following yesterday's boating tragedy turns to search and recovery. The latest on the coordinated response coming up. And just one station, the brother of one of Sunday's victims speaks. Plus international pressure, why the Prime Minister is saying the Bahamas cannot make room for refugees. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. No additional bodies have been found following Sunday's boating tragedy that claimed the lives of 17 suspected migrants. Officials confirming as much this afternoon as search and recovery efforts continued today, with the search area now extending from the initial point at Blackbeard's Key into the Berry Islands. Police reporting the victims were a part of an alleged failed smuggling attempt from New Providence. The 30-foot speedboat they were on reportedly capsized about 7 miles off the capital. Prime Minister Philip Davis noting in an emergency press conference Sunday that more are still missing. We're told 20 of the survivors were taken to the detention center for questioning, while 2 Bahamian nationals rescued at sea are in police custody. A third man, a 54-year-old Bahamian, has also been arrested for questioning in connection with this tragedy. Search and rescue coordinator Commander William Stirrup giving this update moments ago.
We've dedicated a high-endurance vessel to the search, 3 of our fast response boats. As you can see, we have the drone team, and they're equipped with submersible drones as well as aerial drones. And of course, we have the Air Wing Department, and we have the Coast Guard who assist us in search and rescue. It's been challenging because, the rescue units, they have to rest, they have to take their breaks, but it's continuous, it's around the clock. These guys were set up from this morning. Our safe boat was out from this morning before sunrise, and we've been canvassing the area. It's a difficult environment to work in because this is ocean. It's not like it's on the banks where it's smooth.
Commander Stirrup tells our news the search will continue until either something is found or the probability of finding anything is 0 to 0. Meanwhile, a concerned brother from Santo Domingo is looking for his sister, who he believes was on board that ill-fated vessel that overturned Sunday morning, killing 17 people. Tonight, he shares their last conversation and tells our Berthany McDermott about the man he alleges organized the trip.
Felix Diego Benuis says the last time he spoke to his sister, 28-year-old Felix Ketia Benuis, was around 6 p.m. Saturday. The Dominican Republic resident is now desperately searching for his sister, who he says was on board that vessel that capsized 7 miles off the coast of New Providence early Sunday morning. Benuis says his sister has been in the Bahamas for about a month.
I talk to her every day. I talk to her for ask her what's going on, what's happened to you. She always show me the man who's the lead of the flight. Don't give her the time. After Saturday, I just see she is not online.
This, he said, was the first sign something was wrong, and then pictures of the incident surfaced on social media.
I tried to call her, I tried to send her a message. She's not online.
Benuis provided our news with a screenshot of the last conversation he had with his sister. His last message to her was to keep praying. He also provided a contact and screenshot of his conversation with the man he alleges organized the ordeal. He says the man lives in Miami, but his family is in the Bahamas. Well, we attempted to call that number.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
Benuis says his sister was headed to Miami, where her fiancé lives, and that his country pushes young people to leave.
The government which pushes young people to leave the country in any condition.
He says he just wants to know what happened to his sister and had these words for authorities as they continue to search.
I know how the person can feel. So for this moment, I'm just feel very sad.
Reporting for our news, I'm Berthany McDermott.
As authorities continue to work to determine who was behind the deadly smuggling operation, they say so far families are not coming forward to claim the bodies of those who lost their lives during the boating tragedy. Public Affairs and Communications Officer Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings.
At this time, we haven't, but as we speak now, I know that investigations are still ongoing.
And police announcing more arrests in connection with Sunday's tragedy at sea, saying 3 Bahamian men are now in custody. This as National Security Minister Wayne Munro says charges will be brought against those responsible. Italia Hall reports.
The National Security Minister promising those responsible for the crime will be charged with human smuggling offenses.
We also have to consider a homicide charge for them, because it's one thing to smuggle people, and you can smuggle people safely or unsafely. And so, for instance, I can take a 40-foot boat and smuggle 2 people to the U.S., and that's illegal, that's human smuggling. Or you could have an event like this, an overcrowded boat, no flotation devices. That is actually dangerous. And so the first example of the human trafficker is bad, but it's not as bad as somebody who traffics people and traffics them in an unsafe manner.
Minister Munro's comments came as a 3rd Bahamian man was arrested in connection with the alleged human smuggling incident. According to the Criminal Investigation Department, the man was arrested at a residence in central New Providence shortly after 9 p.m. on Sunday without incident. Munro says investigations are underway to find out the full extent of the operation.
Is it localized? Does it involve persons in the U.S.? Does it involve persons in Haiti? Is it a transnational gang? And our law enforcement officials will address that as expeditiously as they can.
Deputy Commander of the Defense Force, Shondell Pinder, confirming the search continues and there are 8 to 18 people missing.
Defense Force assets, surface assets will be out, ensuring that searches occur at the shoreline areas and in the area where the vessel capsized. In addition to that, we will be utilizing our drones.
Reporting for our news, I'm Italia Hall.
And the country does not have the resources to absorb refugees. Prime Minister Philip Davis making that clear as he addressed the issue during Sunday's Joint Task Force press conference to address the tragedy at sea. Davis telling reporters this was the reason the Bahamas did not sign on to an irregular migration declaration during the Summit of Americas.
If the world is suggesting that we should absorb all of those who leave Haiti. That's what they would say to me. But we have our own peculiar circumstance that I keep reminding the world of. We are unable to open our borders to irregular migration and our refugees either because of our own limited resources.
And as search and recovery efforts following Sunday's boating tragedy continue, emergency response training was underway today as the National Emergency Management Agency hosted a community emergency response workshop equipping volunteers to respond to emergencies across the islands. Director of NEMA, Captain Stephen Russell, officially opening the training, saying he believes it is an ideal fit for the Bahamas because of scattered communities with scarce resources.
We need the youths in our communities who can assist with evacuating our senior citizens. We need the youths in our communities who can assist with securing facilities, their homes in our communities. And this can only be done if we have coordinated teams. And this is what the search training program is aimed to do.
Very warm conditions outside our studios. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this comfortable Monday evening. 85 degrees outside our studios right now under partly cloudy skies, and we got a little bit of a breeze out there, east-southeast at 12 miles per hour, and that's making it feel like a little warm, 92 degrees, but comfortable still. Satellite-wise, upper level trough or disturbance rotating across the northwest Bahamas. That's triggering some showers and some isolated thunderstorms across the northwest and portions of the central Bahamas. There's also a surface trough that's approaching the southeast Bahamas, and that's going to help to fire up a couple of showers down there as well. Both systems are going to remain with us throughout the night and into tomorrow. So we're looking at a little more activity tonight through tomorrow with showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, and those breezes will continue. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, another brazen daylight shooting on Pigeon Plum Street has investigators busy tonight. Plus, senators debate an amendment to the Rehabilitation of Offenders Act this morning. Find out the injustices the Attorney General says will be addressed, and how one teen queen's autistic brother inspired her to snag the title. That's coming up when our news returns. Police investigating another brazen daylight shooting after they were called to the scene of a fatal shooting on Pigeon Plum Street around 1 p.m. Police Public Affairs and Communications Officer Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings says gunmen approached a home after exiting an orange-colored Japanese vehicle and opened fire.
It is reported that the two males who exited the vehicle with handguns discharged shots at the intended target, who was able to evade them. And during the time that they were firing shots at the intended target, they accidentally shot one of the males who came with them to this residence.
A relative identifying the deceased as 24-year-old Ken Lewis Jr. Police say the intended target of the shooting is in custody along with two other men. The father of the intended target was visibly upset at the scene this afternoon, expressing fear for the lives of his grandchildren who were at home during the shooting. Police are asking anyone with information to contact them. And if you shoot at a police officer, they will shoot back. National Security Minister Wayne Monroe responding to a police-involved shooting that ended in a man and two teenage boys being shot. Police say the incident unfolded early Sunday morning as officers attempted to stop a dark-colored Chevy Cruze carrying four men. During a high-speed chase, police say one of the car's passengers opened fire on police, and that's when officers returned fire.
If you shoot at the police will shoot back at you. I'd advise people not to shoot at the police, not to resist law enforcement. Not only is it unlawful, but it is a relatively silly thing to do. This isn't a Western movie. This isn't a cowboy movie. This is real life. I've said it over and repeatedly. The police are here to protect us, to stand in the gap for us, and I wholly expect that if you pose a lethal threat to the police, that they will respond with lethal force.
In news from the courts, a Kemp Road resident facing a magistrate on Monday in relation to a violent attack on a woman on Montague Beach. 44-year-old Jason Pinder is charged with assault with intent to rape. According to prosecutors, a 23-year-old woman was walking on the beach on July 22nd when Pinder grabbed her at knife point and attempted to pull down her pants. A Good Samaritan hit Pinder in the head and he ran away. Police later arrested him on East Bay Street. Pinder was not required to enter a plea to the charge when he appeared before Senior Magistrate Carolyn Voigt Evans. He was denied bail and will return to court on October 17th to receive a voluntary bill of indictment that will send his case to the Supreme Court for trial.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, find out the amendment the Attorney General says will help correct some of the injustices during the COVID-19 pandemic. Plus, the partnership between the British and Bahamian Defense Forces that will better equip law enforcement officers. And later, how Miss Teen Bahamas Universe says her brother inspired her journey to the crown. The details when our news returns. This is our news. Welcome back. Senators debating an amendment to the Rehabilitation of Offenders Act this morning. Attorney General Ryan Pinder leading off debate, saying it will help correct some of the injustices during the COVID-19 pandemic.
The passage of this bill, Madam President, is a fulfillment of a promise in our blueprint for change to expunge the records of minor offenses due to violations of the COVID emergency orders. This amendment, Madam President, corrects a grave injustice of the former administration, imposing criminal violations and records on scores of Bahamians for minor violations and even unintended violations of the emergency orders.
Opposition Senator Maxine Seymour says while they support the bill, they also have their concerns.
The bill that is before us here today, the Rehabilitation of Offenders Amendment Bill 2022, seeks to give persons a blight. Now, the government has particularly and craftily positioned it as a mechanism to pardon those convicted of crimes due to the COVID-19 emergency orders.
In other news, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force launching its exclusive Economic Zone Protection course at the Coral Harbor base this morning. The one-week workshop, in conjunction with the United Kingdom Defense Force, will focus on a series of topics, including maritime threats, fishery protection, and oil spill response. Minister of National Security Wayne Monroe says the course is designed to equip the law enforcement officers with the necessary knowledge.
If we do not know what is happening in our waters, in our country, we cannot effectively address it. If we do not know what the standards are, we cannot effectively enforce them. And so I'm pleased to see in the curriculum set out over this week that there intends to be broad sharing of knowledge. And I concur with the High Commissioner that knowledge is a two-way flow, and I would encourage all of you to not only, as the chaplain says, receive what is poured into you, but also share what you have.
Don't go away. Greg is back in the Weather Center with our extended weather forecast, plus the story of Miss Teen Bahamas Universe, how her brother's condition has inspired her journey. Stay with us. Welcome back to our news. More hot conditions ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the extended forecast.
Thanks and welcome back everybody for our second look at weather. Of course, we're winding down the last week of July and we're moving into August. We've already had 2 months basically of hurricane season. Our 3 systems out there. We are at C. Now the next system will be a D, and that's Danielle. Into the month of August, these are the breeding grounds that we tend to look for any development of tropical systems. Still looking in the Gulf of Mexico, just to the east of the Bahamas and up along the eastern seaboard of the United States of America. And then our attention now turns into the Atlantic as we're starting to approach August. Late August into September is when we start to reach the peak of the season. Not really seeing much of As we speak, the tropics quiet. There's a lot of Saharan dust, but locally across the area, that upper level disturbance across the northwest Bahamas still triggering some showers and some isolated thunderstorms. Also a surface trough that's approaching the southeast Bahamas. Both of those systems will interact with each other and spread some more showers and thunderstorms across that area throughout the night and into tomorrow. It'll be about Tuesday, late Wednesday when we see things clear up. That Saharan dust is going to be moving and it's going to continue to suppress any development of any systems in the tropics, but it will bring some hazy conditions to our area sometime Wednesday and into Thursday, and conditions will remain dry for the balance of the week. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight to tomorrow. Small craft, use some caution. Your winds will be out of the east to southeast at 15 to 20 knots. They will be gusting at times. Seas running 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. Your high tide was at 6:48 tonight. Of course, the central and southeast Bahamas, stronger winds down there. Caution advisory posted actually. East to southeast winds 15 to 25 knots, and they will be gusting higher times, especially across the southeast Bahamas. Very rough seas out there. They will be up to 5 to 8 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day forecast, as that disturbance stays with us, we see a couple more showers throughout Tuesday. By Wednesday, we expect most of that activity to wane. And then, of course, the Saharan dust will be moving into our area, but the breezy conditions will continue. Should take a little bit of the edge off the temperatures. Highs getting up near 90. That's a look at our weather. Have a safe evening, everybody.
Well, earlier this month, 16-year-old Penelope Lightbourne donned the Miss Teen Bahamas Universe crown. But Lightbourne says what inspired and led her to compete in various teen pageants was her autistic brother, who has been one of her biggest motivators.
My brother is autistic, and that was a big thing for me and my family. Him being diagnosed in about 2019 was a big change to our family because it really changes how we go throughout our day, therapy and expenses. He's not just autistic at school and at therapy, also at home, so it's a lot of things that we have to do at home to make sure that he's comfortable and is progressing.
Penelope, who will represent the Bahamas in the International Teen Universe pageant in Madrid, Spain next year, says her crown gives her a platform to not only spread awareness, but also to be her brother's biggest advocate.
Me having a title, it gives me the opportunity to spread awareness and possibly a future where he's able to go to school, has housing with assistance, and I feel like that's the biggest thing for us. We want him to see him grow and be the best that he can be, and I feel as if I have a part in that, being his voice that he doesn't have right now.
For more stories like this and all of today's top stories, visit Our News Bahamas on Facebook. And thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.